All right, great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and welcome back to BWE Tribal Academy. I am Alicia Hunter, also known as the Crypto Queen, and tribally known as Chieftainess Kisawa. And I am the founder of BWE Tribal Academy, and our mission is simple, which is education, financial literacy, wealth building, and understanding the financial system before the financial system changes around you. So, now if you have been following our content for a while, you already know that we don't just talk about what happened yesterday. We want you to understand why something is happening and what it could mean, and how you can position yourself to recognize opportunities and risk before they become a mainstream headline. And today we do have a lot to unpack because we are watching something very interesting that is happening simultaneously across Washington, Wall Street, the cryptocurrency market, precious metals, and the global currencies. So tonight, I'm going to connect some of these dots for you, but before we do get started, I am going to go ahead and read our disclaimer for you. And so with this live stream presentation is provided for educational purpose and informational purposes only, and it does not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. Viewers should consult with a licensed financial advisor or qualified professional before making any financial or investment decisions. All information shared is based on personal research, analysis, and publicly available resources, and may be subject to updates as new information become available. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own independent research and exercise personal discernment. The information presented reference researchable data, historical information, and observable trends, and is not intended to promote conspiracy theories. Past performances does not indicate or guarantee future results. Alicia Hunter operates as a private entity under BWE Travel Academy and an unincorporated association. All materials, presentations, and intellectual property shared during this broadcast are sponsored by and owned by BWE Travel Academy. Unauthorized duplication, recording, screen capturing, screenshotting, reproduction, redistribution, or misuse of this content is strictly prohibited, and any unauthorized use may result in legal action to protect intellectual property and associated rights. All right, so now that we have that out the way, let's get into tonight's presentation, which is the table of contents. And so we're going to go over Washington and the new crypto regulatory era, which we're going to look into the Clarity Act and what lawmakers and former financial services leaders are saying, and why regulatory clarity could dramatically change institutional participations in cryptocurrency. And then we're going to take a look at the Genius Act, which is the rise of the stablecoin regulation. But we're going to talk about the Treasury's Department implementations of the Genius Act and why stablecoins could become an increasingly important piece of their financial system. And then we're going to go over the SEC's, which is the crypto capital of the world strategy. And we're going to look into the SEC new approach to crypto assets and what Chairman Paul Atkins has said about modernizing securities regulation. And then after that, we're going to go over how Bitcoin goes institutional. And we're going to talk about strategy far as formerly MicroStrategy, which is a Bitcoin treasury company. And then also we have other Bitcoin treasury companies and institutional trading volumes and what happens when Bitcoin starts competing for attention with traditional financial giants. And then we're we're going to go ahead and close it out with the bigger picture, which is the gold, Bitcoin, and the Japanese yen, and maybe a possible potential financial reset. And finally, we're all going to zoom all the way out, which we're going to connect all the dots. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's get started with far as what is cryptocurrency. So before we do discuss everything, if you are new to cryptocurrency, that is perfectly fine because we're just going to briefly go over this. But cryptocurrency is a digital currency secured by a cryptography, enabling decentralized transactions without relying on a central banks or governments itself. Now, how does cryptocurrency work? It operates on a blockchain technology, recording immutable transactions data across decentralized networks to ensure security, transparency, and a user trust. But the popular cryptocurrencies includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others altcoins, and each designed for secure, decentralized digital transactions with a unique technological advantages. And then the benefits of this is that cryptocurrency allows faster transactions, lower fees, global accessibility, enhanced privacy, financial freedom, and eliminations of traditional intermediaries. I cannot read tonight. And so the cryptocurrency in the future, it may revolutionize industries, support decentralized finance, reshape identity systems, and empower people in underbanked or unstable regions globally. And so, once again, if you are new to cryptocurrency or blockchain itself, make sure you want to take a look at our YouTube series, which is From Barter to Blockchain, and you can locate that under username at BWE Tribal Academy. And so, moving forward, we're going to talk about Washington in a new cryptocurrency, the regulatory era. And so, before I do play this video clip that I'm about to pull up and share my screen, the former House Financial Services Committee Chair Patrick McHenry, he tells Bloomberg that the Clarity Act will pass and that the big banks will turn into the cryptocurrency biggest supporter. So let's listen to exactly what he tells us, far as him saying, "Oh, the Clarity Act will pass later this year." So let me mute myself out, and I will be right back.
Look, let me start with this. I very much would love the Clarity Act, and I've said that from the beginning, and I encourage our colleagues in the industry to stop complaining and stop your kvetching and just get behind the bill. Because with Clarity Act, I was convinced we would get another institutional wave. Like, there's some really big, well-known banks here in New York City that still don't hold Bitcoin on behalf of their private wealth clients, and I think the Clarity Act would be helpful in that regard, just providing more certainty. There's a lot going on with this bill. I mean, there's some Republicans that kind of peeled off around this stablecoin issue, which I think is absurd. It's perfectly fine for stablecoins to pay some sort of yield.
Right.
But there's some issues around DeFi and the protections of DeFi, and there's some real issues with so-called ethics, which involves the Trump family. And the closer we get to an election, the harder it'll be to compromise. So where we're sitting right now, it doesn't look good, and we need some leaders down there.
All right, so before we move forward towards the Genius Act and the stablecoins, I want to go ahead and just pause right there quickly. Now, because this is kind of a statement that I want you guys to pay attention to. We're talking about a regulatory clarity, and regulatory clarity isn't just about cryptocurrencies. It can affect banks, investment firms, exchanges, asset managers, institutional investors, and also everyday retail investors, right? And so think about what happens when the uncertainty decreases. More institutions can become comfortable participating. And that's why I want you guys to understand something. The biggest story may not be Bitcoin itself. The biggest story could be the financial infrastructure being built around Bitcoin and digital assets. Now, I want you to remember this. A bill being expected to pass is not the same thing as a bill already being law. The Clarity Act still has to move through Congress, but the fact that major political financial features are openly discussing a regulatory framework, it tells you that this conversation has moved far beyond the early days of the cryptocurrency. So we're talking about the architecture of the next financial system. Do you guys clearly understand? Or maybe do you understand or overstand? However you say. Now, let's move to the next part, which is right now the Genius Act and the stablecoin. So this one is extremely important because we're talking about stablecoins. Okay, so with by that being said, with this article, the Treasury Security Scott Bassett has says that the Treasury is moving quickly to implement the Genius Act. So that would be the beginning of January 18, 2027, the expected effective date of the Genius Act. Now let's pause real quick. Why should you care? Is it because of stablecoins are essentially creating a bridge between traditional dollars and the blockchain based financial infrastructure? Or is that a very important development, right? So we have spent years hearing people debate whether crypto would enter the traditional financial system. Well, what happened when the traditional financial system start building rules around blockchain-based dollars? That's a transition I would like for you guys to pay attention to. And this is where financial education becomes extremely important because you don't want to wait until everyone understands something before you start learning about it. You want to understand the infrastructure while it's being built. Okay. Now let's move to the SEC, which is the crypto capital of the world. Now I am going to share another video clip as well. But before I do play the video, we do have the SEC chairman that says that as the crypto capital of the world, the US must and will lead. And he also clearly stated that with our new proposal, the SEC is taking the most historic step yet to modernize federal securities regulations for crypto assets. Let me mute myself out and let him do all the talking.
When I took office, I pledged to ensure that the United States remains the crypto capital of the world. For too long, issuers and investors had to navigate an activist SEC weaponized against this asset class. The result has been uncertainty and inefficiency, chasing crypto asset innovation outside of the United States. So today, I'm excited to announce that the SEC is taking the most historic step yet to modernize federal securities regulations for crypto assets. The United States must and will lead. Our new rule proposal, Regulation Crypto Assets, will ensure that we do. Now, let me be clear. The SEC continues to support congressional work on the Clarity Act, and we expect to see the bill reach the President's desk. Under our current statutory authority, we are acting. The work before us is too important. The Commission's March 2026 interpretation explained how a non-security crypto asset may become subject to, and how it may cease to be subject to, an investment contract, which is a security under law. Regulation Crypto Assets provides issuers of those investment contracts with a clear path to comply with federal securities laws within those parameters. Today's proposal sits at the center of this Commission's capital formation agenda and is essential to providing a framework for crypto asset fundraising. It is the Commission's answer to the question that has puzzled innovators since the birth of the blockchain. How can I raise capital to develop a crypto asset while I am still working to develop the network where it will be used? While Congress continues its important work to advance crypto market structure legislation for the President to sign, the world and our markets keep evolving. By moving forward with our current statutory authority, we can help ensure that America remains the world's premier destination to innovate, to raise capital, and to build the next generation of financial infrastructure.
Now, that statement was significant, right? Because for so many years, one of the biggest problems facing the cryptocurrency industry was uncertainty. So, what is a security? And what isn't a security? When does an investment contract apply? And what agency has jurisdiction? The SEC has now been actively working towards a more defined framework for crypto assets. The agency had already issued, they have already issued this, and it has been developing a token, an investment contract framework. So now let's look at the next section, which is the SEC proposes new rules on the regulations of the crypto assets. Now, this rules is to create a framework for investments contracts involving cryptocurrency itself. And here's what I want you guys to understand. When regulators start creating specific frameworks for an emerging asset class, that tells you something. It tells you that the asset class is becoming too significant to simply ignore. So now the question is, who is going to understand these rules first? Because knowledge creates a different kind of advantage, correct? Okay. And so now let's talk about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin goes institutional. Now I'm going to share a video, and this is going to be the last video that I'll be sharing. And this is the Bitcoin Treasury Company of Strategy. And their daily trading volume is now higher than investment banking giants like Goldman Sachs. And so now we have Strategy is out trading the second largest investment bank. Now I'm going to mute myself out so that way you can tune in more. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, okay? All right, and I'll be right back.
So we think Bitcoin's going up more than the S&P index over time. We expect 30%, but it doesn't matter if it's 10 or 20%. We can pay 11.5% dividend on a preferred stock, a credit dividend, because that represents a fraction of the long-term capital gain that we're expecting. And so if you're disciplined about the way that you convert a capital gain into a credit dividend, the capital gain's unrealized, the credit dividend becomes return of capital and is tax deferred. So digital credit is really synthetic yield, where we're extracting the first 11.5% of our expected capital appreciation of Bitcoin. We're remitting it to the credit investors via an over-collateralized preferred stock. If you've got money you don't need, or you need it in the next 4 years, you either put it in the money market and you get 3.5% taxable, or you put it in digital credit, you get 11.5% tax deferred. So if you're a crypto believer and you have working capital, you want to buy digital credit because you get paid 4 times as much after tax.
And it's a preferred.
It is a preferred stock.
Is it convertible?
It is. It is
What's
just
the premium? I'm sorry. Is there? Would you have even more upside than the 11.5%? In other words,
no. The real breakthrough with STRC, it's the biggest preferred stock in the world. It's the fastest growing preferred stock in the world. It's the most liquid.
But it generates 11.5%. You keep the rest if there's a...
The reason it works is because we target $100 and then we use a variable dividend rate in order to keep it at 100, and we attach a shelf registration to it. So if it trades at $100 and a penny, we sell it. And so it has become the lowest volatility credit instrument and the most liquid credit instrument because, in essence, it's a bank account that pays you 11.5% tax deferred.
Tax deferred.
Now, think about what we're looking at, okay? So we're no longer talking about Bitcoin as some abstract structure, some type of internet experiment, okay? So we're talking about publicly traded companies and financial institutions, ETFs and custodians, asset managers, banks and investments firms that's participating in a digital asset ecosystem itself. And so with strategy, it has become one of the most visible examples of a company using Bitcoin as a major part of its treasury strategy. But that doesn't mean everyone should copy them, correct? That is not what I'm stating. All I'm saying is pay attention to the institutional behavior, because the institutional behavior can tell you where the capital is moving. Okay, so now let's look at one more thing real quick. And hold on real quick. I'm at the wrong page. Don't mean to say thank you, but give me one moment. Just swap out page real quick. I do apologize for that. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin volatility. Okay, and by that being said, Bitcoin is now lower than approximately 98.5% of all days in its history. Even though it may have pushed up some, but think of it like a coil spring, like in a mattress, and the long volatility remains compressed in the greater potential for a meaningful move once it breaks. Now, I want to be very clear. Low volatility does not mean guarantee that Bitcoin is going to go up. It doesn't guarantee a breakout. It doesn't even guarantee a specific price target. But compressed volatility can make the next significant move especially important for you guys to watch. So instead of asking, is Bitcoin going up tomorrow? You may want to ask yourself, what is Bitcoin telling me about the market environment? That's a completely different way of looking at the market itself. So now we're going to zoom into the gold and the Bitcoin and the Japanese yen and the possible of the financial reset. So let's go ahead and zoom out, because this is where I believe things that really get interesting, which we are watching gold that reclaims up to 4,500 area. And then now we are watching Bitcoin that just reclaimed 73,000 area. We are watching the governments and the regulators move towards a more structured digital asset environment. And at the same time, I want you guys to pay attention to the Japanese yen. And why? Because a lot of people are not paying close attention to what is going on behind closed doors when it comes to the foreign exchange, which many of you are very familiar with Forex. But because of Japan is deeply connected to a global liquidity and international capital flows, that is when we need to pay attention to, just in case you see a major movement with the yen and the US Treasury yields, the dollar, the gold, the Bitcoin that's happening around the same period. And you need to start looking at the macro picture, not just the crypto chart itself. Now, I want you to be careful with the phrase of the financial reset. I'm not saying there's going to be a crash or anything, okay? I'm just speaking that it could be a possibility if this may go towards a cashless society. And I'm not telling you that a financial reset is guaranteed to happen tomorrow. All I'm telling you that there are enough changes happening across monetary policies, regulations, digital assets, stablecoins, sovereign debts, cryptocurrencies, precious metals that I believe we could be watching for as far as a structural change. And if the dollar continue facing pressure from debt and monetary expansions and geopolitical shifts and the changing global settlement preference, that could have a major implications for hard assets and digital assets itself. And so that's why until this day, I am going to continue watching gold, Bitcoin, the USD dollars, the Forex far as the Japanese yen, the treasury yields, liquidity, and most importantly, where the money is moving. So now we're going to bring all of this together to where that we now have a regulatory framework developing. We have the Genius Act being implemented. And then we have the SEC working towards the new crypto asset rules. And then we have the institutional that is participating. And they are continuously to develop, of course. And then we have the Bitcoin that is trading back towards major psychological levels. And now we have gold that is reaching historical territories. But let's not forget that we also have a global currency and liquidity dynamics that deserves our attention. And that's why I continuously tell people, don't just watch the prices. Watch the infrastructure, watch the regulation, watch the institution, watch the liquidity, and watch the currencies. And also, while we're on this subject, once again, make sure you go on to YouTube and watch our series From Barter to Blockchain. You guys would love it. Start with part 2 and watch it all the way to part 14. Now, I am going to warn you, part 9 to 14 will be removed shortly. So please take advantage of the opportunity and watch it, because everything I'm explaining, you guys will have a clear understanding of what is going on today. Because by the time something becomes obvious to everyone, the early opportunity may already been gone. And so this brings me to something very important. Here at BWE Travel Academy, we are going to build something stronger. We are building a private community for people who want to take their financial education to the next level. So, this isn't about simply throwing information at you, it's about helping you to learn more about this information and how to read the market and how to recognize the trends and how to understand the economic news far as the geopolitical aspects itself and how to connect the macroeconomics events to financial markets and how to become more educated and prepared when opportunities appears. And speaking of the financial markets, this is my personal VIP group, and this is outside of BWE Travel Academy. My VIP members had even closer ways of learning right along with me. So inside of my VIP community, I share market education, like far as the financial charts, market analysis, and some type of trading related insights across the markets, including crypto, precious metals, forex, and other financial markets. And also, my VIP members have been learning how to pay attention to the market before everyone else start talking about the move. Now, let me make something clear for you guys. Nobody can legitimately guarantee that they know the market with absolute certainty or predict every move in advance. I just want to clearly state that, okay? But education can help you recognize the setups, the trends, the momentums, the resistance, the volatility, and even the market structures before you even make that decision. So that's the advantage of what I am currently teaching. And this is not gambling. This is not a guessing game. This is just strictly education. Or some may say some education, but I would like to just say you will learn and listen. Okay. And that would end it for us for tonight. And so thank you so much. And if you want to continue learning with us, make sure you follow us at BWE Travel Academy across our social media platforms. You can look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and any other official social media channels. Make sure you're following us because we're going to continue bringing you market education, financial news, crypto education, and trading education, and also wealth building conversations. Okay. And if you're watching this on one platform, don't just assume that this is the only place where we're active. Once again, make sure you follow BWE Travel Academy across our social media platforms so that way you don't miss the next presentation. And so before I do close everything out, I want to introduce someone and somebody who's going to help you take it to the next step as far as becoming a VIP member. And you've already heard me talk and you've heard my perspective. Now it's time for my AI spokesperson, Zola, to come up on stage. And Zola is going to give you more information about how you can join us and how you can become a part of my personal private community and how you can continue your education with me personally. So during the meantime, you guys stay prayed up, drink lots of water, and mind your own doggone business, okay? So I am going to turn it over to Zola. And Zola, make sure you take it from here. You guys, good night. Talk to you later.
Hello, I'm Zola, the official AI spokesperson for Alicia Hunter, also known worldwide as the Crypto Queen. With over 8 years of experience studying the financial markets, Alicia has helped countless individuals understand crypto, stocks, forex, AI, and modern monetary systems. She is also the founder of BWE Travel Academy, her online educational hub you may already be familiar with. As a monthly subscriber, you'll get exclusive access to Alicia's private educational content covering crypto, stocks, forex trading, AI, AGI, market psychology, and more. Make sure you click the notification button because Alicia may surprise you with early market insights or execution updates, helping you stay prepared before major financial moves. Subscribe today and join a powerful community committed to financial empowerment. Disclaimer: as a friendly reminder, all information shared is for educational purposes only. Alicia Hunter is not a licensed financial advisor. Always consult a qualified professional before making investment decisions.